Hi, you're watching us on NewsX YouTube. I'm Gauri. With me is my colleague Mr. Rishabh Gulati. Rishabh, what are Narendra Modi's next big plans?
Okay, you now have a Narendra Modi, whom it is very obvious is looking and working in a different orbit than general prime ministers and governments have worked at, where the logic has been incremental growth. A Narendra Modi is a man on a mission who I think has a very deep realization of his place in history. And the checklist of things that could not be done for 70 years, some things that people thought will never be done or could not be done, that he is now looking to push. Number one on the checklist was Kashmir, Article 370 on August 5th, abrogated. Number two on the checklist was Ram Mandir. On August 6th, the Supreme Court hearing began. It's already concluded. The next big thing on the original checklist has to be creating a uniform civil code for India. It's not an easy thing to do, but it certainly can't be tougher than the abrogation of 370, okay, or sorting out Ram Mandir. So the UCC, some movement on triple talaq has already been made as an example, as a forerunner, but the UCC is one obvious one. The second thing that we saw a lot of talk in the first term of Narendra Modi but did not see implementation was One India, One Poll. So basically you're looking at India going to the polls only twice, every 2.5 years, very similar to the American system, where they have two sets of polls. Every 4 years they have presidential elections. Along with that, they have congressional and Senate elections. And then they have midterm elections. And that's it. That's how the government of America and the Congress, the Senate, and the President are elected. A very similar mechanism for this is likely to come up in this tenure of a Narendra Modi government. The next thing is expected, and you can start seeing perhaps not a completion of this, but a Narendra Modi planting the seeds of a South Asian Union very similar to the European Union. Perhaps not to the point where we have a single currency, but this is certainly something that can be envisaged, that the Indian rupee becomes synonymous in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka, minus Pakistan of course, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, perhaps even the Maldives and Myanmar. Now this would include having transport links very similar to the European Union, which are seamless, having one visa, and perhaps potentially having a single currency. Well, single currency is the last thing that's going to happen. So this might not be completed, but you can definitely see this as a major world situation altering deal that Narendra Modi and his government are likely to get into as a grand scale changer. The next thing is redrafting and recompiling India's penal code. The IPC sections were created by the British. They have been added to and deleted to, but things like 420, 144, these are all British era written creations. So rewriting India's penal code is something that you should easily examine. Then of course something we're expecting to happen in the next 2-3 years is a manned space mission, right? This is already in the works. We know this is going to happen. Now the twist in the tail to watch out for is the first Indian woman in space sent by an Indian Indian spacecraft, and the fact that India might also take along in its manned space mission people from other South Asian countries. So Sri Lankans, Maldivians, Nepalese, Bhutanese, Bangladeshis. That we will ferry their first astronauts into space using an ISRO rocket and of course a rocket launcher. Then the other big pipeline item that is pending is river linking. Expect a Narendra Modi government 2.0 to get cracking on that. A lot of planning has been happening on that, but actually to start at least linking the major rivers, therefore to do flood management, to do drought management, which is a major problem because in south of India you'll be having a flood and you'll be having floods, and in West India you'll be having a drought. So river interlinking has been a grand plan. Expect this to be pushed now. Expect the next level of the space plan not only to be targeting Mars, but to have an Indian or a South Asian space station. That means permanent representation in space, not just people going in and out, permanent like the International Space Station, which India is already a partner to have a permanent Indian space station orbiting the planet. The larger goal, and one would think again that this is impossible, right? And I don't want to go into cliches of Modi hai to mumkin hai, but for the BJP and Narendra Modi, it's not just a slogan. It's actually self-belief that these things are possible. So please start thinking and imagining of a Narendra Modi's government working towards a plan to make India oil-free, which is petroleum-free. maybe not in the next few years, but certainly by 2030, 2035, to lay out the plan that India ceases to have to depend on imported energy,
Right.
which will be an absolute historic game changer, even if we get close to that target. On the historical front, a lot of effort expect on re-examining India's history, and under a Narendra Modi tenureship, expect the Harappan language to be cracked. We haven't been able to do it for hundreds of years. We've been seeing the seals and symbols, but nobody knows the phonetics and what those seals and symbols mean. Under Narendra Modi, expect that to be cracked. And the last one, Gauri, of course, is a very serious move on POK. Now, that's already been discussed in great detail, so I won't go into detail on that. But these are the various things that you can expect an even more invigorated Narendra Modi government to try to crack the big, huge problems and not look at incremental change.
Well, thank you, Rishabh, for that. And thanks for watching this video. For more such videos, subscribe to NewsX YouTube.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.